If you know anything about The World Ends With You or its sequel, you know a big part of what makes these games special is their music. The songs in these games aren't your typical video game songs that run on a 1 or 2 minute loop. Most of these songs have lyrics and use choruses and verses like something you might find on a rock album or a pop album. The original game's composer, Takahiro Ishimoto, put together some of the best songs in gaming through a mix of all sorts of genres. The soundtrack for the original World Ends With You is one of my favorite albums period, video game related or not. So it's safe to say I was very excited to hear that Ishimoto was returning for the sequel, and leading up to the game's launch, the soundtrack was one of my most anticipated parts of the game. And sure enough, the soundtrack for Neo The World Ends With You delivered what I expected, and then some. Neo focuses on a more rock sound, as opposed to the more varied nature of the original, but dang, these are some of the best rock songs I've heard. So, what better thing to do than to rank them all in video form? Today, I'm going to be ranking every song found on the Neo The World Ends With You original soundtrack that you can find on streaming platforms. Of course, this will all be completely subjective. I might attempt to sound like I know what I'm talking about, but chances are I probably don't. And hey, even if you're not familiar with the TWEWY games, I advise that you stick around anyways. See if there's some songs here that catch your attention. Think of it as a music recommendation. One note to add before we start. I will be merging the songs that have Japanese and English versions into one entry, and I will also not be ranking the non-remix version of Twister or the live version of Rockin' Rockin', since one is ripped straight from the original game and the other has a nearly identical version elsewhere on the soundtrack. Oh, and I'll do my best to keep the singing to a minimum, but no promises though. And with that, let's get to it. Congratulations, A Tranquil Mind! You get the honor of being my least favorite song in Neo The World Ends With You! Now, I gotta say, this song is not bad. It's just kinda nothing. Like, the choir in the background is pretty, and the song does have a chilling aura to it, but let's be honest, this is not the type of music people look for when they think The World Ends With You. The reason this song specifically ends up in last is because of how little is in the song. It's simply a piano and choir vocals, that's it. This song might stand out on a Final Fantasy soundtrack or something, but when it's held up against the firepower that is the rest of this list, this song doesn't hold a candle. This song is in a similar position as A Tranquil Mind. It's another instrumental song that doesn't have much going on musically, and it just doesn't really do anything for me. It works as a song that's in the background of a cutscene, but it's not anything I'd want to listen to on its own. It's one of the more repetitive instrumental songs too. I get tired of listening to it pretty quick. But hey, this song has at least 3 instruments in it, which is enough for me to put it just above the bottom spot. I'm starting to run out of things to say about these slow, repetitive instrumental songs. Luckily, there's only a small number of these on the soundtrack, and we're getting them out of the way first. The one thing Disturbance has going for it, however, is that it's slightly less repetitive than the other two I've talked about so far. Much like the others, it conveys a certain dark atmosphere, but the song just doesn't create an entertaining enough listening experience to be ranked any higher. Before I get into this song, I'm going to read you the definition of the word incongruous. Not in harmony or keeping with the surroundings or other aspects of something. Let me just say that I've never seen a more aptly named song. Yes, this is the first vocal track to make the list, and it's my personal least favorite of the bunch. Holy crap, the song's all over the place. It starts off with an admittedly funky beat at the start, and then abruptly transitions into heavy metal with a screamo singer, and it's not even good heavy metal either. The singer sounds terrible in my opinion. It then transitions to a piece taken from a different song on the soundtrack, Bird in the Hand, which doesn't even seem to fit in my opinion. It's put over a pretty boring guitar riff that doesn't mesh with the part at all. Then the song changes once again, breaking down to a soft part with female vocals. Interestingly enough, this part of the song was shown in one of the trailers, and I was really looking forward to hearing the full song that part came from. Turns out that part is the only part of the song that sounds like that, and I got thrown into an absolute mess of a song. The part in question is good, but it can't save the rest of the song. Of course, then the song goes back to the screamo part and the song breaks. I'm sure the fact that the song is all over the place is intentional, given the title, but the effect does not make for a good song in my opinion. It's like musical whiplash. This song is nice, but that's the best I can say about it. The acoustic guitar sound is pretty unique in comparison to the rest of the soundtrack, but it suffers from the same problem the other instrumentals do, and that it's just a bit boring. Definitely better than the songs at the bottom of the list though. The happy vibe of the song works well. Unfortunately, it isn't enough to save it from going into the pile of instrumental songs that I don't listen to that often. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. While this is another instrumental, this one is a lot more interesting than the others so far, with several different defined parts of the song that change up the melody. There's a violin-type sound throughout the song, going up and down in pitch. It can get a bit repetitive, but it does a great job of adding a feeling of tension in the song. This is definitely the best dramatic cutscene song, as I like to call it, but unfortunately, being the best in that category doesn't get you very far on this list. So, this is where the subjectivity of this list really starts to show itself, because the low placement of this song on this list is simply due to my dislike of the genre. I just can't get behind these heavy metal / screamo songs. I like music with some intensity, but this song could be a bit much for me. I tend not to love the sound of someone screaming their lungs out either, but boy, the guy who sings this song sure is good at it. The instrumental is pretty good as well, and the one instrumental break that is led by the guitar is my favorite part of the song. In the end, this song just isn't my cup of tea. This song is very similar to Peaceful Day, but made a bit better in my opinion. The song isn't as happy sounding as Peaceful Day, opting for more of a melancholy tone. The addition of the choir in the background is very nice, and the song totally nails the vibe it's going for. But aside from that, I don't really feel like I need to explain why a song like this is this low on the list at this point. Definitely starting to see an improvement here though. Ah yes, the first Neo mix to appear on the list. For those of you who don't know, Neo features about a dozen new remixes of songs from the first game. Ranking these songs is tricky, since they're technically not new songs, so I figured the best way to rank them is by how much they change about the original song, and if they're able to improve on the original. So, this leads us to the lowest placed remix on the list, Ooh Parts. As far as I can tell, this remix sounds nearly identical to the original. It doesn't even sound like a remix at all. If you listen to the two side by side, there are some minor changes to the instrumentation, but the fact that I had to do that to spot any differences says a lot. Now, to clarify, I have nothing against Ooh Parts as a song, but the lack of change in the remix in this song baffles me, hence the song being placed where it is. We finally entered the part of the list that I consider the good section. Every song from this point on is a song I would definitely say is good, and something that I would listen to on its own. Wander Around Shibuya, aka the title screen music, aka the menu music, is the first instrumental song on this list that really starts to get funky. When I heard this song for the first time, my first thought was, yep, it sounds like a TWEWY song. I actually kept it as my menu music for a while, because I thought it worked really well as a song in the background while you set up pins for a few seconds. The funky guitars work really well, and the change up in the middle with the horns is the best part of the song for sure. Unfortunately, as with most instrumental songs, it does get a bit repetitive, but this is a huge improvement already. It pains me to put this song so low. I really love Jump Over Yourself, but this remix falls into the same trap Ooh Parts does, in that barely anything has changed. It's not as severe, the instrumental does have some noticeable flourishes that are different, but a majority of this song sounds the same. Oh, and just to clarify, when I say original, I am comparing these to the final remix versions of these songs from 2018, simply because those versions just sound better in my opinion. Makes for a stricter comparison, but it is the most accurate. Another really good instrumental track. This one is super high energy, with a great use of drums. It even has a cooldown moment in the middle of the song that I really like. It's not quite my favorite instrumental in the game, but it's close. Just goes to show how hard it is for an instrumental to stand out on this list, even with all that praise. One thing this remix has going for it is that it's definitely different. The instrumental behind this song is completely changed, but unfortunately this remix doesn't do much for me. It's a bit more low-key than the original, with a more old-school synth style as opposed to the futuristic sound of the original. Neither of these versions hold a candle to the Black Box remix of this song though. That version is still the undisputed champion. Look it up, it's a great remix. This song is sweet. It totally screams credit song, but I don't think that's a bad thing. The soundtrack was definitely lacking in lyrical songs that were somewhat on the chill side, and this song fills that gap perfectly. This is one of the songs that got both an English and a Japanese version, and both are pretty good. Really, I don't have anything bad to say about this song, I just happen to like the more upbeat songs more. Yeah, this is a pretty good remix. It vastly improves the instrumental and the fact that it's way clearer than the original. Unfortunately, the song was never really my favorite, so I guess I would have liked for some more substantial changes. But what we got sounds good, so I can't complain too much. Also, I feel like this was the song I heard most throughout the game. I'm not sure if that was just me. That probably didn't help the song in the rankings. At first I thought the song had gotten a complete makeover, but I found out while doing research for this list that this remix is actually very similar to another remix of this song called a live remix. That realization definitely sunk the song's placement on the list, and it does sound very similar to that live remix, although some changes were still made. The guitar sounds totally different from the original, as well as the pre-chorus. They also removed the clapping from... Wait, they removed the clapping? From the song called 3 Minutes Clapping? That's it, this song's going all the way to the bottom. This is inexcusable. 1 out of 10. No clapping equals no good. This is the game's shop theme, and yeah, it's really freaking good. It had big shoes to fill since the original had banger shop themes too, but this is definitely on par with them. It's a shame we only got one as opposed to the multiple in the original, but when it's this good, it's hard to complain. The sound they chose to go for this song is great. It's got a funky disco sounding bit in the middle that I love. Do kinda wish it was longer though. This is a remix I would say is on par with the original. Not worse, but not necessarily any better. Bit of a different take on the instrumentation. There's a new synth sound in the mix now, but the chorus remains pretty unchanged, which is probably for the best. It's definitely the best part of the song. I kinda wish I liked the song a bit more than I did. It's got great potential, but I don't quite think everything was executed as well as I would have liked. The heavy bass sound definitely gives the song a unique identity, and the song has a drum and bass type sound in the background. The gimmick with the lyrics with naming all the numbers of people is interesting though. I think it's a fun theme for the song. Calling is probably the most popular song from the original, definitely top 3 if not, so it was a no-brainer that this song was getting a remix. I do appreciate the effort that went into this one though. It sounds like the vocals were re-recorded, which is rare for these remixes, and a few new lyrics were added at the end. This remix would be higher, but similar to Jump Over Yourself, the song still sounds pretty similar to the original, which is ever so slightly disappointing. Still a damn good song. This song is so weird, but I love it. It kind of reminds me of Imprinting from the original. It's got a funky little loop in the background, accompanied by a record scratch effect, and that's really all that makes up the instrumental. There is a small amount of vocals too, which I really like. The beat also totally switches up halfway through, which is always appreciated. The song is super short though. If it was longer, I think this song could have gone up a lot higher on the list. I don't know how they did it, but they made the song sound more epic. The guitars that make up a majority of this song's instrumental are played slightly differently, which really does make the song sound different. The drums are also a bit more prominent during the verses, which is a nice touch. This is one of the better Neo mixes for sure, but the changes aren't anywhere as extreme as they could have been. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, I never actually heard this song before playing the game. Apparently this was a song from the mobile version that I never played, and somehow never heard it on YouTube or anything. It's a good song though. Really glad they brought it back in this game and gave people a new chance to hear it. The singer's voice isn't my favorite, but it's not anything offensive. It's a good rock song with good guitar work, and it's just not quite top tier. This is how you do an instrumental track. Well, there are technically some lyrics, but the song is like 90% instrumental, so it still counts in my book. This song just screams TWEWY style, if you know what I mean when I say that. I'm always a sucker for good use of horns and music, which this song totally delivers on. It makes a really good first impression, since this is a song you hear really early on. This is an instrumental song that can stand toe-to-toe with some of the better vocal songs in the game. This song gives off an apocalyptic vibe to me, which is probably intentional given when it plays in the game. This song sounds kind of futuristic, but also kind of somber at the same time. I don't know, man, describing music is hard. It's just a solid song though. Doesn't stand out in my mind as much as all the others, but I don't really have anything bad to say about it either. This remix did something great that barely any of the other remixes did. This song has completely new vocals for this version. I'll be honest, the new vocals aren't great, but I don't think the original exactly had top tier vocals either, so it breaks even. This song gets props for even making the change in the first place though. The guitars in this new version are also killer, sounding similar but also being different enough that you notice it. This would be higher if I liked the vocals more, but it still ends up being one of the highest placed remixes.
Why can't you see me? How long must I be?
This song is weirdly hypnotic. I think it feels that way because of how the singing and the verses syncs up perfectly with the guitars. The little chord progression it does is simple, but it gets stuck in your head really easily. The chorus isn't as good as the verses, but it's definitely not bad. The song has a different feel from some of the other songs, which is always refreshing. This literally sounds like a Daft Punk song, which is very much a good thing. Something about the robotic voices combined with the upbeat, funky nature of the song. I love upbeat songs like this that just make you want to dance. The quote-unquote beat drop is really great and somehow made the beat even better. I can't even tell if the sounds used are super auto-tuned vocals or some sort of synth or something else entirely. Whatever it is, I love it. I had this as my menu music for ages. Despite the repetitiveness, I never really got tired of it. For a song called Insomnia, this song is actually really soothing. I specifically have to compliment the transition from the verse to the chorus. It's so smooth. I know I've used this phrase a couple times, but this song is really unique in comparison to the other songs in the soundtrack. Neo really needed a few more synth pop songs, and this certainly fits the bill. Also, apparently this is the same singer who did We're Losing You. Talk about versatility. Despite being the 3000th Twister remix, this is one of the better ones. It's almost like a combination of the beginning and ending part to the original Twister, but combined with the game mix also from the original. However you want to describe it, it's a pretty fresh take on Twister that doesn't ruin any of what makes this song so great. The remix also adds in a totally new outro that sounds great. This is one of those songs that can get stuck in your head after hearing it only once. The da-na-na-na-na-na-da-na-na-na-na part is insanely catchy. This song also has a great chorus that is carried by great vocal performance. As is the theme with a lot of these songs, the use of drums is also a highlight. It gives the song a noticeable energy. Simple yet effective is the best way to describe the song. The instrumental is slightly more low-key than other songs, taking a more acoustic-sounding approach. Yet this song still slaps as hard as some of the songs twice as energetic. The rhythm is also good, the kind of rhythm that just makes you want to dance. The outro also deserves a special mention. It's almost like a semi-rap part, and it's definitely my favorite part of the song. But look, 3 songs sung by Stephanie in a row. She must be doing something right. This song reminds me a lot of Scramble, especially with the great use of drumming. It might not have the same infectious na-na-na-na-nas of Scramble, but this song's opening is equally as catchy. Shout out to the chorus as well. The use of high notes is great. Another great synth-based track from this game. The style the synths use is great. It creates a great backing for the track and gives off a futuristic vibe. It kind of turns into a synth rock fusion as the song hits the chorus, and if synth rock fusion isn't the best way to describe the soundtrack, I don't know what is. This song also has a great use of high notes in the chorus. I almost feel like there's some sort of motif that ties these songs together, but I can't quite trace it. Now this is what I call a killer remix. This is actually the first Neo mix you hear in the game, which is a whole experience in and of itself, considering the first 30 seconds are totally unrecognizable. It just kinda hits you like, whoa, this is a remix. Guess they're doing remixes in this game. The original, which was originally an old school hip hop type song, has been totally transformed into a rock song. There's also a funky violin sounding thing that plays throughout the song, which mixes really well with the rock vibe to create a unique sound. There's also a completely new part added in between some of the verses, which is super catchy in its own right. This remix is so good, the fact that it was played first just set the bar so high for every other remix and just made them look underwhelming in comparison. This song definitely wins the award for best guitar on the whole soundtrack. Between that and the way the singer sings the song gives me classic rock vibes. Both the pre-chorus and the chorus are super catchy, despite the fact that the lyrics don't make any sense. And the guitar riff right after the chorus is in serious contention for the best 5 seconds on the whole soundtrack. If I had one complaint about the soundtrack, it's that we needed more rap verses. Luckily, Bird in the Hand helps fill that hole. There's a great rap for the verse of this song, and I'm pretty sure the rapper is British. Who doesn't love a British rapper? There's also a great vocal performance for the chorus that contrasts great with the voice of the rapper. There's a part where they kind of sing over each other that's great. This is another song where the lyrics don't make any sense, but when it's this good, who cares? Honestly, the song would be even higher if there was some kind of second verse. It's ever so slightly disappointing to hear the same verse repeated twice. Now, you might be wondering what makes this remix rank up so high, especially after I basically said that Aware Hajimare couldn't be topped. The answer is simple. I completely forgot this was a remix when making this list, since this is another song I had not heard before playing Nia. And honestly, the song is just too good on its own to not rank up this high. The isolated synths at the beginning give the song an almost mechanical feel, alongside with the rock vibe that's standing on the soundtrack. I also think this is Stephanie's best vocal performance I've heard. She absolutely kills it with this one. This song is scientifically proven to get you hyped when listening to it. The guitars on this song are killer, and the singer gives the song so much energy. He just goes wild on the chorus. The song is also pretty diverse. There's a part that slows down a bit before one of the choruses, and one of the verses switches up and has a more acoustic sound to it. Then there's the outro, where the guitars and drums go crazy and the singer almost hits screamo territory. Despite my previously mentioned dislike of the genre, I like it as an ending to the song. It totally ends the song in a memorable note. This medley of sorts was the song used in the reveal trailer for this game, and it was a great choice because it communicates all of what this soundtrack is about. A little bit of pop, a little bit of rock, and a little bit of twister. This song ranks above World Is Yours simply because it has all the best parts from that song and somehow makes them better. No idea why or how, but everything in the song just flows so well. Just a great instrumental from start to finish. And yes, I don't even mind the use of We're Losing You in the song. The rest of the song is just that good. It's me against the world, so just let me go. The developers must have known that this song would be well received, since it's one of the first songs you hear in the game. This song is really that good though. It's just a great rock jam that gets stuck in your head super easily. The high side part takes a little bit to get used to, but after a few times it grew on me. And yeah, the lyrics of the song don't make any sense either, but it kind of gives the song a unique charm. This song serves as a great appetizer to the rest of the soundtrack that leaves you wanting more. If any song totally encapsulates the vibe of this game, it would be this song. It offers some of the best aspects of the other songs, with great use of drums and guitars. The verses also have a really great sound to them that separates them from the chorus in a great way. The singer also has an amazingly stunning performance on the chorus, with this long scream note thing that you can just feel the emotion oozing out of. It sometimes gives me chills when I hear it. The lyrics in the song also deserve a mention. They totally fit the theme of the game with how it talks about fitting in and breaking out of expectations. They also practically name drop the game, which gives the song major brownie points. This song was so close to being number one, but the more I listen to the top two songs, I just think the number one pick is slightly better. Not to discredit this song in any way, however, this song is incredible. I love the soft beginning that leads into a great moment when the guitars kick in. The song alternates between English and Japanese, which I think makes for a great dynamic and keeps the song fresh. The moment the song switches from the verse to the chorus is my other candidate for my favorite 5 seconds on the album. Absolute ear candy. The chorus itself is insanely catchy, carried by another great performance from Stephanie. It's one of those parts that just makes me want to sing along every time. They knew what they were doing naming this song. It definitely rocks. As I said, originally I had the song at number 2, but man, I just could not have the song at number 1. It's so good. From the way the singer belts out the lyrics, to the gradual build and intensity as it gets to the chorus, and the incredible guitars all throughout. What makes the song really stand out for me is the drums. They aren't the most prominent part of the song, but specifically in the choruses, the drums go hard. There's a drum roll that's used that sounds really good. The last chorus is also noteworthy. They change up the instrumentation a bit at the end, which makes for a satisfying finish to the song. The lyrics themselves aren't exactly poetry, but I do really like the metaphor that's being presented through the underwater theme. Maybe it's just the way the singer hits those high notes in the chorus that sells the lyrics for me. Just an all-around great song that gets me pumped every time. It's a perfect pick for the first battle theme you hear in the game. Phew! That's every song on the Neo The World Ends With You soundtrack ranked. If you hadn't heard some of these songs before, I hope this video gave you some new stuff to listen to. If anything on this list stuck out to you, I promise you won't be disappointed if you listen to the full thing without my lame voice talking over it. I would love to do the same thing for the original as well. I chose to do Neo since it's been on my current music rotation, and trying to determine what songs to rank from the original would be a pain, since there's like 3 different soundtracks online. If even one person leaves a comment saying they want me to do it, I will make that video though. I just need to know that somebody out there would want to see that. Other than that, I think that's it for this video. Like the video to boost my self-esteem, subscribe for more content, and go get yourself an ice cream. You deserve it.